Jesus God? We ask a counter question, did he claim to be God? If he claimed to be God, then we start discussing further. What is the implication of that statement? First, did he claim such a thing? First thing, the man makes a claim. Now we analyze that claim. But if the man didn't make the claim, there's no sense in wasting your breath. So, to the question, is Jesus God? We pose a counter question, did he claim to be God? So I responded, I said, look man, there is not a single unequivocal statement anywhere in the Bible where Jesus says, I'm God, or where he says, worship me. Meaning a single statement, straightforward, saying that, look, I'm God. No doubt about that. If a man says, I'm God, or he says, worship me. I said, show me in your book 73 books of the Roman Catholics or 66 of the Protestants, anywhere in any version, and they have 1,000 versions now. Day by day they're coming out, It's like mushrooms, they're sprouting.
I personally don't know what's more funny, the fact this man thought he cooked, or the fact Muslims, he is a good example to follow. Muslims generally love to use this script a lot. So let's debunk this claim. Let's look at verses in the Bible where Jesus claims to be God and also accepted worship. Now, obviously, we can't look at all the verses. There is just so many, and this video will take a lot of time. So let's just take a look at a few. I divided this video into 4 major sections. Firstly, we will look at explicit verses where this claims are made. Then we will look at implicit verses about this claim. Then we'll take a look at some of Jesus' authority and actions that proves he was God. And lastly, we will take a look at verses where Jesus accepted worship. We are up for a ride, grab your popcorns, and let's dive in. Let's kick things off with John 10, verses 30, where Jesus claimed to be one with the Father. To get the context of this verse, let's read from verse 29. It says, my Father who has given them to me is greater than all, and no one is able to snatch them out of my Father's hand. I and my Father are one. Then the Jews took up stones again to stone him. Jesus answered them, many good works I have shown you from my Father. For which of those works do you stone me? The Jews answered him, saying, for a good work we do not stone you, but for blasphemy, and because you, being a man, make yourself God. Now can I end the video here because what is left? This verse alone debunked the whole claim. He never claimed to be God by saying, I and my Father are one. The Jews recognized this and wanted to stone him for claiming to be God. Let's look at another verse, John 8, verse 58, where Jesus claimed the divine title of God, I am. Let's also read the context of this as well. From 57, it says, then the Jews said to him, you are not yet 50 years old, and have you seen Abraham? Jesus said to them, most assuredly, I say to you, before Abraham was, I am. Then they took up stones to throw at him, but Jesus hid himself and went out of the temple, going through the midst of them, and so passed by. The reason why the Jews picked up stones to stone him was because he claimed the divine title of God, I am. We can see this in book of Exodus 3:14. It says, and God said to Moses, I am who I am. And he said, thus you shall say to the children of Israel, I am has sent me to you. Let's look at another verse, Matthew 11, verse 27. It says, all things have been delivered to me by my Father, and no one knows the Son except the Father. Nor does anyone know the Father except the Son, and the one to whom the Son wills to reveal him. In this verse, Jesus claims divinity by claiming to be the only one who knows the Father, and also the Father knowing him. Let's look at John 14, 1-7. I so much love this series of verses from the first verse till the 7th. It's all about Jesus claiming deity. Verse 1 begins by Jesus telling everyone to believe in him the same way we believe in God from this verse alone. We can see Jesus is putting himself on the same pedestal with the Father. It reads, let not your heart be troubled. You believe in God, believe also in me. In my Father's house are many mansions. If it were not so, I would have told you. I go to prepare a place for you. And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again and receive you to myself, that where I am, there you may be also. And where I go you know, and the way you know. Thomas said to him, Lord, we do not know where you are going, and how can we know the way? Jesus said to him, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. If you had known me, you would have known my Father also. And from now on you know him and have seen him. As you can see, this whole verse is all about Jesus putting himself on the same pedestal as God, in other words, claiming to be God. In John 14, verses 8 to 11, this is a continuation of the previous verse. The claim in this verse is so clear, I had to label it as another. This verse begins by one of the disciples asking Jesus to show them the Father. And Jesus directly claimed to be God. It reads, Philip said to him, Lord, show us the Father, and it is sufficient for us. Jesus said to him, Have I been with you so long, and yet you have not known me, Philip? He who has seen me has seen the Father. So how can you say, Show us the Father? Do you not believe that I am in the Father and the Father in me? The words that I speak to you, I do not speak on my own authority, but the Father who dwells in me does the works. Believe me that I am in the Father and the Father in me, or else believe me for the sake of the works themselves. In Mark 2, verses 27 to 28, Jesus claimed to be the Lord of the Sabbath. And he said to them, The Sabbath was made for man, and not man for the Sabbath. Therefore the Son of Man is also Lord of the Sabbath. This is a direct statement of Jesus claiming to be God. In John 17, verse 5, Jesus claimed to share the same glory as the Father. And now, O Father, glorify me together with yourself, with the glory which I had with you before the world was. And lastly, what better way to end our list of explicit verses than in the book of Revelation 22, verses 13, it says, I am the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end, the first and the last. Jesus claimed to be the first and the last, beginning and the end, and also the Alpha and Omega, which is a title only known to depict God. Now let's look at some implicit verses that depicts Jesus as being God. In John 1, verse 1 to 14, Jesus is depicted as the Word who is God that created everything, and he has come to dwell among us. In Mark 14, verses 62, Jesus says he will sit on the right hand of power, I am. And you will see the Son of Man sitting at the right hand of the power and coming with the clouds of heaven. And also in Luke 22, verses 69 to 70. Hereafter the Son of Man will sit on the right hand of the power of God. Then they all said, Are you then the Son of God? So he said to them, You rightly say that I am. Now let's look at some of the actions and authority of Jesus that depicts him as God. Because Jesus did not only claim to be God, he also did things that only God can do, like in Mark 2, verses 1 to 12. Jesus forgives sins. Now we all know it's only God that can forgive sin, but Jesus was able to do the same because he was God. Even after forgiving sins, the scribes in the next verse questioned this action and accused him of blaspheming because they know only God could forgive sins. In John 14, verses 13 to 14, Jesus prompts us to pray to him and he will answer, and I know what you must be thinking, only God can answer prayer. Why is Jesus asking us to pray to him? Do you still need me to spell it out for you? Lastly, his controlling nature in Matthew 8, verses 23 to 27. Jesus was able to assert authority so much, even the winds and the clouds obey him. To round up the video, let's finish up with verses where Jesus accepted worship. In John 20, verses 28, Thomas worshiped Jesus, and at no point in time was he rebuked by Jesus. In John 9, verses 38, a blind man worshiped Jesus again. At no point in time was he stopped or called out for worshiping Jesus. In Matthew 28, verses 9, some women who went to visit Jesus and found his tomb empty, left to tell the disciples on their way there they saw a risen Christ and worshiped him. Now after all these verses, if you still believe Jesus wasn't God or claimed to be God, then my friend, you must be really ignorant. If you think I did justice to this false claim of Jesus, never claiming to be God, drop a like and comment. Don't forget to share and subscribe.